Sorry.
Live video's up. Mate. Mate, I'm self-sufficient now. I don't even need you to come push buttons for me anymore. G'day ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Mitchell and we are here at Racecraft Simulations for round 1 of the SRT Trackmasters Academy GTE Championship here in Season 3 at Racecraft Simulations, the back end of the year that is 2021. We bust out the GTE cars that we've been having so much fun with since Automobilista 2 released the Racing USA DLC pack. Now you may be mistaken for thinking, you may be forgiven for being mistaken, for thinking that we are racing in a BMW M8 GTE one-make category, because that is literally all that is in the server tonight. There is like 1 or 2 Porsches. I think Ash Lachlan? No, Ash is in a Corvette. So there's 1 Corvette. And who else? Here's one of the Porsches. Ray Mangano is in the Porsche. And how good does the Porsche sound? Absolutely beautiful. It sounds fantastic. I really do enjoy the sound of the Porsche. We're joining you from Estoril in Portugal tonight. The track made famous since 1972, hosting the MotoGP Portuguese Motorcycle Grand Prix. Plus World Superbikes, World TCR Championship, and the FIM Endurance World Championship as well. Plus the 4 Hours of Estoril in the European Le Mans Series. Super League Formula, which was a really cool category throughout the early 2000s, in which we took the football or soccer championship model and sent them racing in open-wheeled race cars, as well as A1 Grand Prix, which was kind of the initial template for Super League Formula's championship basis. We are running on the alternate format tonight, so we do not have the chicane at turn 9. We're going around the outside at turn 9, what they call gun show, turns 9 and 10. We're following along at the moment with Ray Mangano as he comes out of the Curva VIP. Behind him is one of the Davo Sim Racing entries showing up here. As Joe Capone is running tonight, we'll just check him. He's another one of our Porsche drivers. We'll go back to Ray Mangano as he heads down into the interior Parabolica before he climbs back up. Little crest over the hill and down again into turn 7 here at Aurea. And then before it tips back uphill, and instead of doing the chicane complex where you can see the cones there, we go around this very fast and somewhat blind right-hander. A little bit of the off-track rumble strip used there before we wrap around into turn 12 on the regular circuit. I guess it's going to be turn 10 on this circuit, so we're on to an 11-turn circuit as we wrap around Parabolica Ayrton Senna and back down the main straightaway to finish off a lap. Currently it's Julesy on top here. Anthony Jewell parking himself up in the pits after setting a blindingly fast lap of 1:30.1, but it is super tight in this field. Check this out, right? 5 minutes to go. Julesy on pole with a 1:30.1. Clint Harvey on second with a 1:30.3. George from in-house here at Racecraft Simulations on the 1:30.3. Grant Johnson on a 1:30.5 from Aaron Dooley, rounding out your top 5 on a 1:30.6. Joe Capone, Mr. Capone is sitting there in 6th place. He's the first of the Porsches.
Any relation to Al Capone?
You wish. Johnny Lee asking any relation to Al Capone. If you've met Joe, you know he's certainly not a gangster. Nah, Joe is an absolutely outstanding bloke. Got his own 3D printer, which has been a treat to me of recent times. He built me a dashboard for my racing simulator at home, and it's been fantastic to have him involved with the Racecraft series here. Then we go back down to Ray Mangano. He's in 7th. He's the second of the Porsches here on a 1:30.7. So there's only 0.6 of a second covering 7 cars. That is uber tight here. Kate Bell in the 8th spot here as well. Mangano just lights it up coming out of the right-hander at turn 8 there. Then we go back to Brendan Ung in the 9th spot and Jonah Sita on his home rig this time around in P10 through Josh Cochran, V-Race 2, George K, Dave Flett, V-Race 3, Mr. Magoo, Mr. Johnny Lee himself over Andrew Ash Lachlan, Andy Skinner, Connor and Josh Gray. Your 21 car field. Oh, we've got Gavin in there as well, making up P22. That's your timings as they stand so far, with just 3 minutes and 15 left to go. And it looks like pretty much everyone who could topple the top is parking themselves up, unless Clint Harvey, Jonas Sita, or the likes can bust out a super quick lap. As Jonas Sita just busts himself up into the 4th spot here. You can see him coming out of turn 1 on the way to Curva 2. Great corner names here. They basically call them Curve 1, 2, and 3 until you get to the 4th turn in just a moment here as Jonah climbs the hill out of Curva 3, lights up the rear tyres on the exit. Now we're into Curva VIP, which feels a lot longer than it really is. It feels like you're going way past 180 degrees to get around this corner before you go down through the middle kidney bean over this little break in the straight there just to break things up and down into the interior Parabolica. On the brakes, down to 2nd, run it wide because it's quite tight on the way into that corner, and then it opens up on the exit, so you can cut across the corner quite easily there as we follow Jonah now up into Aurea. It's a bit awkward this corner because there's not much runoff to use there. There's a little bit, but not a whole bunch. And then you go almost blind into this one. You can take quite a bit of curve there, but you run the risk of being shot off into the sand on the outside before we go down into the left-hander at 12 and then hug in the curb all the way around. It feels like you're on it forever before we squeeze on the throttle and down the main straight here to finish off a lap. See what Jonah can put in this time by. And Jonah, 1:30.220 from Jonah. He goes to 2nd on stream as well. We had him up for that whole lap. We'll follow on board. Let's go on board here. Inside the BMW M8 GTE as he comes up into turn 3 here with 1 minute and 20 to go. Seems like he's starting to get the settings sorted on his home rig. that he's been slowly putting together here. Down into the VIP corner, you can see him being very gentle on the wheel inputs and trying not to put too much steering into it. I apologise if the shuttering is giving anyone a bit of a headache. We'll go on top now. That's not even any better. We'll go back out trackside. Sometimes these BMWs, just all these cars, just have this shutter in the Automobilista 2 platform. You can see how wide he's running through the interior parabolica there is Jonah. As he makes his way into a Reha. He only changed down to third gear there, so he's keeping lots of corner speed up and using the full rev range of the BMW M8 GTE. Down to third again for the right-hander at turn 8. Little kink through 9, down through 10. And he'll hug the right-hand side through 11 here. You can hear him playing with the throttle. He's lifting off to try and get the car to rotate through the middle of the corner before standing back on it. And I feel like this may be a bit slower this lap, but I've been known to be wrong many times before here as Jonah thunders down the straightaway. And he goes to the top of 130.175. Jonah Sita pips Julesy by 4 1,000ths of a second. We're going to shout out to Jonah real quick in the Discord chat. Jonah, solid lap, mate. 130.175.
You like that? No force feedback either.
He says he did it without any force feedback either, so that's a pretty stellar effort. As Cade Bell just celebrating jumping up into third there with a 130.218 as qualifying has wrapped up, so we'll see them taking a moment to take a quick pee break, have a quick swig of the water bottle before we get set to go racing for half an hour around Estoril in Portugal here from Racecraft Simulations. We're here for the SRT Trackmasters Academy GTE Championship, round number 1 in the first round, or first rotation of rounds in this series. This is the third stop in the 4, well, what do we say? It's 4 categories running in 5 rounds. So this is the third category to feature in round 1 so far, with the 4th being Daytona prototypes. We're broadcasting every 2 weeks for the Aussie racing cars, ARC Camaros, and for these, the GTEs. The other 2 weeks we do it without broadcast, and I like to go racing and jump in and have a bit of fun with the boys here. It's always a great way to get involved. All you need is a simulator if you've got one at home, and the Automobilista 2 game, or you can come and join in centre. Get in touch with Racecraft Simulations via Facebook out here at just near the Perth International Airport on Grogan Road. Talk to Johnny, he'll hook you up into a rig and get you racing with us on Tuesday nights for our league nights. We're only in round 1, the first round of the first rotation of the rounds, so you've got plenty of time to get accustomed and get involved in this championship. There is a couple of vacant seats in the house tonight, so it's prime time to get involved, or if you've got a mate and you want to show them what sim racing is all about, this is the way to go. Minimal investment, just pay the fee on the night. Johnny Lee, what's the fee for the night's racing? $60 gets you an hour and a half of racing time. That is awesome. So you can get in touch with Johnny via the Racecraft Simulations Facebook page, or give them a call. You can find their numbers on the sites as we check in on the qualifying results. Look at that, 4,000ths of a second.
Does anyone need to go to the toilet?
As John Lee just checking in with the field to make sure that we are all set to go racing. We have Julesy in second, Cade Bell in third, George W. in the 4th spot, Clint Harvey, P5 from Aaron Dooley, Grant Johnson, Joe Capone, Ray Mangano, and Josh Cochran rounding out your top 10. We'll scroll through, sorry, chewing on my tongue tonight, with the V-Race 2 entry, George K, Dave Flett, Mr. Magoo, and V-Race 3 making up your 15, mate, as well as Johnny Lee, Ash Lachlan, Andrew Skinner, Connor W, Josh Gray, Gavin, and Brendan.
If you have a look at
your
our Facebook
full
page,
results.
you'll have the link there for YouTube, but it's on the, if you search in YouTube John Racecraft, you'll see it as well.
So Johnny Lee just giving everyone instructions in the stream on where they can go find the live stream video. We are streaming on YouTube right now from John Lee's YouTube channel, John at Racecraft Simulations. As it looks like we are getting everyone in the seat ready for a half-an-hour race.
Alright guys, so I've got damage on.
A couple of instructions from John Lee.
Let's give each other room, let's be courteous. It's a long race. Let's not be heroes. Please.
And please, gentlemen, be mindful that what you say is on the Discord and is coming through the stream tonight. So we're trialling this one for GTE. So, yeah, don't say any of those bad things that we usually say across the room.
Okay.
Alright.
So John Lee has given me the instruction to kick things off. So we bash that continue button and we get the field lined up. We're going to stay focused on this pack of BMWs at the front. Look at this. You would really be forgiven for thinking this is a one-make series for the BMW M8 GTE, but we are racing in a bona fide GTE category on offer through the Automobilista game. There is the BMW plus the Porsche plus the Corvette, all available to go racing in. But we have found that the BMW at the moment is the easiest to drive, and so therefore it's probably going to be the best performing car out there. And that seems to be reflected by the amount of cars that are lining up on the starting grid.
Anyone that wants me to punt anyone off, so call it out now.
Bit of banter going on in the live stream. Everyone's saying g'day to Liz. G'day, Liz. Hope you're enjoying the show. Give us a shout out. Give us a comment if you want to say hello and cheer on Julesy.
Please, let's be courteous to our drivers. Show the world that we are professionals. Lap 1, take it easy, okay? Damage is on.
Johnny Lee pumping up everyone's tyres before we get underway as we are sinking the field as we get ready to go racing.
Who are we waiting on?
Josy's got to... Nick C's got to ready up.
I'm very ready.
Here we go. I can hear the revs. We get the lights. And we are set to go racing from Estoril for the first round of the SRT Trackmasters Academy GTE series as we follow away Jonah Sita from the line. Had an absolute shocker. Lit the tyres up as Julesy will jump to the lead through turn 1. It's going to be touch and go here. It's a very tight corner at the end of the main straightaway, but we all get through mostly clean. You can see through the back there. They're all filtering through relatively clean, and it's great to see. I can hear some crashes. Oh, there's a couple of crashing further behind there as we pick up Joe Capone in the Porsche going through turn 3 at the moment. He's held himself nice and clean and is, well, it's a bit of a Porsche sandwich here. It's a double stacker Porsche sandwich at the moment with Joe Capone and Ray Mangano right in the mix of it between Aaron Dooley and Grant Johnson as they head down the centre straight. God, that Porsche sounds good. Jonah Sita into the second spot. Under pressure here from Cade Bell, who looks to the inside at the parabolic interior, but he'll hang on to it here and get the run on the exit. Now Cade Bell has to try and stay with him as they head up into Aurea for the first time here in this 30-minute race. We're clicking off the 1 minute 30 lap times, so I reckon we might get to about a 19-lap race throughout this one. As we follow along, Jonah wrapping it around the Curva Ayrton Senna on lap 1 here. Julesy has already broken away, representing Davo Sim Racing tonight. He's got the DSR race livery on this BMW. Shout out to Ross Dallin and RSW Graphics. I think he would be racing tonight in the AOG Porsche Championship through iRacing, but it's good to have at least. As they come out of turn 1 and up into turn 2 again, Julesy with a 7/10 of a second lead over Sita in second. Bell third, Clint Harvey in that 4th spot here. We'll check in with Clint and see how he's going in the nicely represented Hudson Racing orange and black BMW. Or Hudson higher. Got a forklift on the side of a BMW. How's that? George behind him here in the traditional BMW race livery from Dooley, Joe Capone and Grant Johnson. From George K and Ray Mangano, you can just see Joe Capone there in the purple and black Porsche at the back of your screen as they head through the interior parabolica again. Currently, Clint Harvey hanging on to this 4th spot. Can't quite close up onto the back of Cade Bell. He is right there though, and he's only staying just about a half a second, 6/10 of a second off the back of Bell as they head into the top end section of the track through turn 8. That blind entry into there with the big mound of dirt just covers off the inside line. You can't see much on the way in. You certainly can't see what's happening at the exit of the corner, at least as you come down, hugging the right-hand side all the way around Parabolica Ayrton Senna before making your way onto the main straightaway. Use the rumble strip and tuck it in. There's your leaders. That's your top 5 at the moment go to the middle of this fight here. Cade Bell, third place on the road right now in the Fanatec Porsche BMW M8 GTE, as Jonah Sita is right onto the back and going side by side with Julesy. Coming out of turn 1, Sita's going to try and go around the outside, and he makes it happen. So Jonah with a great move, but now Julesy back up the inside. Oh, and they touch, and Jonah is off the road. And that will put them both down here. Clint Harvey pounces on the opportunity. So does George, and so does Joe Capone. He's right onto the back of them now. He's got a bit of a gap to try and make up. The back there in the 5 spot wants to be part of it. And Jonah just giving Julesy a bit of a serve for going a little bit too hard there. That has not hurt Jonah as much. Oh, as I say that, Jonah straight into the back of Clint. And then trying to turn it around to rejoin. He just T-boned someone else on the way in. I don't know who that was. I think that was Cade Bell going down the order. Yeah, that was Cade off the side of the racetrack. Now, the problem for these guys is there's damage on these cars. So if they've hurt the car and it's going to be lapping slowly, they're going to be in a world of hurt trying to rejoin here. As Julesy will pick up the pieces after that one. I was saying Jonah was... he copped the better deal out of that one between him and Julesy, but then he went and stuffed it into the back end of Clint Harvey. Down at the interior parabolica, and has absolutely ruined his race. They are a long way down the order. Jonah down in the 10th spot. Cade Bell, who was a bit of an innocent bystander. He was just trying to get out of the way. He came back on in 14th spot. Joe Capone in the 5 spot right now. So Joe managing to hang on, over though we did see him flashing across the screen, trying to avoid Jonah's parked car on the outside of turn 6 there. So Joe having a bit of a lonely drive here. Joe famously won the last round of the GT3/GTE series here at Racecraft Simulations. You can hear a bit of conversation going on with our Discord chat in here at Racecraft Simulations. My apologies if anything's a little bit explicit. But try and look something new tonight. Trying to bring the drivers into the stream a little bit more and get them having some fun. And we'll do a bit of an interview with our winner as well, as long as they're in the session here. There's Clint Harvey out front, leading the way out of turn 7 at the moment, up the hill into the somewhat blind turn 8. I mean, this man knows how to steer. Very well versed in racing categories here in Western Australia. And young Mason now stepping into the fray, running in the top tier karting category here in Western Australia, the West Australian KZ series, and having a lot of fun. The Harvey family acquiring a simulator not long ago and having an absolute ball with it. They ran with us in our Spa Enduro with the GTE cars. I think they ran with the Johnsons as well. They ran in a 3-man or 4-man team for our 6 hours of Spa from Racecraft Simulations. It was an absolute fantastic day of racing. And they put on a great show. Didn't quite make it there in the end. They took a gamble on strategy at the last safety car restart and found themselves not really seeing the payoff that they were hoping for, with a 2-second advantage at the moment over George, though. Good to see George having a great run here. Julesie's all over the back of him. So you've got to be careful at this stage of the race. With 23 minutes left to go, you still have enough time to make it back if you have an issue on track or if you make a mistake at somewhere around the lap. But if it puts you back into a pack of cars that you don't necessarily want to be mixing with, it can really hurt your progress. Grant Johnson sitting back there and lurking in the background at the moment. Grant, another one who's absolutely incredibly well versed and well decorated in West Australian and Australian racing. And now we're seeing his the second generation, or the next generation come through. I wouldn't say second, but the next one coming through here from Grant. Young Elliott stepping into the karts, having a good run out there in West Australian karting. Was having several teachable moments in the wet weather up at Hurricane Go-Kart Club a couple of weekends ago for the King of the Hill race, where the weather just absolutely played its part beautifully, keeping everybody on their toes all weekend long. Grant Johnson at the moment in the USA, the red, white and blue BMW M8 GTE, running in 4th at the moment, just ahead of the Porsche of Joe Capone. He's 3.8 seconds off the race lead, as no one can do anything about this gap to Clint Harvey. We'll go back and we'll check in with Joe here, running in the Porsche. We'll see if we can go on board. Not that on board. This on board. Oh, it's still a bit judder, isn't it? That's a shame. I don't want to give anyone a seizure, so we'll jump out of that view. But just listening to that Porsche. That is a beautiful sounding Porsche. Love how good the sound is captured for these Porsches in the Automobilista 2 platform. It's so good to hear. Some of the onboards when you get in and drive these cars in-game is just phenomenal. As Capone holds down the 5 spot. George K in the 6. Now Ray Mangano actually just stepping up into the 6. So he's just grabbed that spot from George in the second of our Porsches in the field now. Running this very timeless looking yellow and blue Pathfinder livery. Actually, that's a good looking car as well. He's got a pair of BMWs stacking up behind him in the form of George and Jonah. Jonah on a comeback drive after completely pulling on the thread and unraveling the fabric he'd woven. He's now trying to make his way back up through the field, and he's looking for a way around George. He's looking to the outside into the braking zone down there at turn 1. He's going to struggle to make anything happen there. But he has to be careful not to cause anything that he did earlier, or like he did earlier on in the race. With 20 minutes to go, you start to run out of time for a comeback drive at this stage. Jonah putting down the 1 minute 30s. He is obviously the fastest on track, and certainly the faster car, but it's one thing to catch, it's another one to get the pass done. In the words of the famous Murray Walker, I believe, as they come out of turn 4. Through this, not much of a corner at turn 5 there, that little kink in the road at 5 and down towards the interior parabolica. Jonah Sita got the job done, but George K is diving up the inside and is going to scrub across. And Jonah is going to try and go round the outside at the right-hander if he can draw alongside and get this done. And this is where it's going to get dicey. You don't want to just turn down a little early on the car around you and catch them off guard, but it looks like he's got the job done. And George K has actually spun it and gotten caught up on the exit there. So I didn't see them come together through the trees, but there might have been a touch of contact there, and that's unfortunate for George K. Down to the 11th spot now is Cade Bell. Another one to watch. He's making his comeback drive in the 12th spot, just ahead of the man himself, Mr. John Lee. And it won't let me click on John Lee for some reason. Good old Automobilista, thanks, mate. So Joe Capone in P5, Ray Mangano 6, and as we mentioned, Jonah now trying to charge his way through in the 7th spot, climbing his way back up the order, but these laps hurt him. He had a 132.6 that time across, which hurts him in the scheme of losing time to the leaders. He is 13 seconds off the back of the leaders. There's no question about his pace right now. He is throwing down those hot laps, but just unable to get in touch with the leaders quick enough. And I guess that's the price you pay when you have an incident out on track and have a spin and have to climb back through the field. A couple of chats coming in from our YouTube. Thanks for joining us, Aaron Gray. Saying, Aaron saying, Johnny Lee inside the 10. What is happening? And Alexani cheering on for Julesy. And Fard Mercy saying, go GK. Good to see you guys joining us in the chat. Hope you're having a good time and hope you're having a good night checking out this action from Racekraft Simulations. My apologies for the juddery cars. Good old Automobilista likes to do this to us. And sometimes they're smooth, and then just when I think they're smooth, I go on board and they look like that. And I just go, no, we can't have that. We'll give someone a seizure. And if you're photosensitive at all, I apologise. As we follow along, Jonah still trying to find a way around the outside, inside, over and under on Ray Mangano. Ray's such a good defender in these cars as well. He says his specialty is the aerodynamics cars, which they really are. Ray, when you put him in the F1s, he is absolutely on fire, and I don't think we're going to see his true potential through Season 3 of the SRT Trackmasters Academy in any of the categories because we're not really doing any serious aero cars. Last week we drove the F309s, the Dallara Formula 3s at Brands Hatch Circuit, and a lot of conversation last week about how different they feel to the F317s, which we can drive in the iRacing platform, which some of us are much used to here, racing F3s in Australia, as Jonah fires it up the inside and fires it into the inside wall at the interior parabolica. That really hurt him, and Ray Mangano will go back through. But Ray definitely self-proclaiming that he is much more at home in the Formula 1 style cars, what we ran last season. We ran the Formula V10 version 2 in Automobilista here at Racecraft Simulations, and he had a fantastic time, a regular front runner in those cars throughout that championship season. As Ray holds down the 6th spot at the moment, he's a long way off the top 5 though. He's 9 seconds adrift off the back of Joe Capone, his Porsche brother-in-arms, running the Porsche 911 RSR GTE. Such a good looking car with that little diffuser poking out the back end and the ducktail on the rear end of the car there. They just look so good on track. I'm really excited to get my hands on the new 992 that's being brought out in iRacing, as we just saw George off the track there. So that was George going down the order. He came off the track at turn 4. That was that BMW parked on the outside as Joe Capone went past, and now he's lost out. He will stay P5 though, because he's got a fair old margin down the road to Ray Mangano, but with some work to do to get himself back up to 4th where he would like to be. And that will elevate this man Joe into the 4th spot, and not too far really off the back of Grant Johnson in the Racing USA BMW. But we can see with Joe on track, there is some lap cars, and he's calling out to them as well, saying, get out of the way, come on, come on, as he comes up onto the back of them. This is the hard part of these races. As we cross the halfway point, you start creeping up on the back of some lap traffic, and Joe will have to be very patient here and try and pick his moment wisely if he wants to stay in touch with the leaders. There's 2 of them there, I believe. I think one is for position. Oh, he's lost it. We're out again to George. So George has gotten back through somewhere, and Joe got caught up. So the Corvette is the odd one out there. I'm trying to pick up on who's in the Corvette. Just let me slowly, or very quickly, flick through cars. And can I tell you, there's another Corvette there of Andrew Skinner. These guys going around. No, not going to be able to tell you there, as Joe Capone is on screen again. I can hear some glass, I can hear some crashing going on, as that was a BMW off the road. 2 BMWs off the road here. So it looks like Joe is gapped out from that lapped car of the Corvette. There's now Ray Mangano in the background, looming in the distance as they're starting to close up onto this. So in the space of a lap, Joe has gone within, 7 seconds or so of the lead. Now 11 seconds off the lead, and only really about 4 seconds ahead of Jonas Sita on a comeback drive after coming a cropper in the opening couple of laps of the race. Jump back on board with Clint Harvey, your race leader, having a clean one out front. He's been picking his moments wisely and clicking off these laps, but you can see right behind him, flashing the lights even down the straight, Anthony Julesy Jewel trying to find his way around and seeing if he can climb back up the order after feeding Jonah off the road in the early stages of the race. I thought he might have been out of contention after that one, but he's managed to find his way back through here. Grant Johnson a little bit further behind in the 3rd spot. You can see him just at the back of the shot there. Actually, he's a fair way off. That was another one of the BMWs. So confusing, these guys changing colours every week. Hard to keep a track, especially with the Automobilista 2. The way it sorts out the cars. Absolutely devastating. There's one of the BMWs circulating around at the moment. Checking with Andy Skinner in the Husingfeld Corvette C8R. Probably the hardest of the 3 GTE cars to drive. Although when we first trialled out the GTE cars, Alexani took a win at Laguna Seca with the Corvette C8R. I was campaigning one of the BMWs, I think, that night, as we were getting ready for a 9.5 SimSport Invitational event at Phillip Island through iRacing using the same car. And little old me thought, oh yeah, it's the same car. Shouldn't be that different to drive in the two different games, right? Well, I was wrong. Very, very different to drive the same car across the two different games. There's a bit of conversation going there with Cade.
What sort of glitches?
And Johnny, and they're talking about glitches. So Cade is seemingly struggling with his rig a little bit. There is an ongoing issue with one of the monitors on that rig that no matter what they do, sometimes software and hardware just don't like playing the ball or playing the game, and you've got to force the issue or just replace them. You can't even threaten them. They don't like being threatened either. They usually get worse when you threaten pieces of software and hardware. But we'll continue on here with 11 minutes to go. Clint Harvey out front here from Julesy in second. 0.6 of a second the gap now. Julesy really finding his pace in the back end of this one. As these Tourettes-like BMWs make their way down into the Parabolica interior. 13 laps under their belts here as they head up in the GTEs. He's a great fun car to drive as well. I managed to jump on during the open practice session for a couple of laps of Estoril, and immediately they just feel hooked up. So much fun to drive these things, and it's great to see them brought into the Automobilista 2 platform to have some fun with here. As we'll check in and see if there's any battles we can find on track right now. Half a second Clint to Julesy, and then 7 seconds back to Grant Johnson, 10 seconds back to George, 14 to Jonah, 19 to Ray Mangano, 27 to Brendan Ung, who started or was showing 22nd at the end of qualifying. So Brendan having a pretty decent drive through the field here. If he was 22nd, he's up 15 spots into the 7th spot right now, just ahead of Joe Capone, who's dropped down a couple of spots, and V-Race 2 in P9. Mr. Magoo rounding out your top 10 over Cade Belt. Aaron Dooley falling down the order. He was in the top 5 in qualifying. He's now into the 12th spot. He's just found himself moving up into the 12th spot, actually. And he's got John Lee and Andrew Skinner for company. This is a good little scrap going on. A three-way fight for 12th, 13th, and 14th here between Dooley off the road.
Sick.
And Andrew Skinner goes by. John Lee steals the inside line in the Fuel Tech BMW as well. I just can't click on John's car. Just won't let me click on his car, but it's Aaron Dooley losing ground there, down to the 14th spot now. Andrew Skinner in the Husingfeld Corvette C8R, the rear-engined or mid-engined experiment from Chevrolet and General Motors. It's good to see them taking a gamble on such a well-proven platform. As Skinman finds himself into the 12th spot here. Connor W into the 15th spot from Josh Cochran down in 16. That's one of the better of the BMW paint jobs in this platform. That looks so tidy with that satin chrome silver, although it's a bit beaten up at the front at the moment. George K all the way down to 17th after he was having a pretty decent run earlier on here. Dave Flett down in 18th. Joel Gray in the 19th spot. V-Race 3 in the Fuel Tech BMW in P20. Gavin in the 21st spot, and Ash Lachlan, another one of our Corvette drivers. So we do have 3 Corvettes in here. I think we've got 3 Porsche as well. There's another Porsche that I keep seeing every once in a while that I just can't click on for some reason, as we just spot Ash Lachlan going around in the Corvette. That thing is starting to be feeling the pain right now. As we check in with Julesy, working his way through a bit of traffic on the way through and into turn 5. Earlier on, he was within a second of the race lead, but has lost out now. He's 4.3 off the back of the leader as he fires up the inside. Very aggressive there from Julesy. I wonder if that is George K. He's just gone up the inside. So George, who was very quick in the early stages of the race, probably almost on pace with Julesy. Now going a lap down to your second place driver as he continues to try and chase down Clint Harvey. We're just behind the red, white and blue of Grant Johnson in the BMW M8 GTE, hanging on there in the 3rd spot with 7 minutes and 15 to go. If you want to get involved with any of our Racecraft League nights, just get in touch via our Facebook page. Chat to Johnny if you want to go racing here at Racecraft Simulations. We've got, let me count them out here. Hold on. we've got at least 10 rigs in the house, with 10 right here in the main room, and there's a few more out in the side room as well that we can have fun on here, for anything from a virtual reality setup with a VR headset to static motion or no motion triple screen setups to full motion. We've got varying ranges of motion rigs here at Racecraft Simulations with their own different unique setups, most of them using a SimuCube wheelbase and SimCore and OMP wheels on them, with varying different pedal setups of the Tilton hydraulic pedals. I think there's one of the HPP pedals, plus a lot of the Husingfeld pedal setups on these rigs as well. Or you can join in at home. If you've got your own rig at home, you can join in and have some fun. If you're an alien, we might not enjoy that too much. But this league is all about getting people involved in sim racing and having fun. And that invites you to then spend some money if you want to go racing more often from the comfort of your own home. You can do so in your underwear then, and it's great. At 3 in the morning, racing sprint cars on iRacing in your undies. There is almost nothing better that you can do in the comfort of your own home. And that's the beauty of sim racing. You can have some fun as we follow along. Grant Johnson under pressure from George and Jonah right there as well. The fight for 3rd, 4th and 5th down the straight. 5 minutes and 20 left to go here from Estoril in Portugal as they head down into turn 1. Who's going to get the advantage in the toe? Jonah looking racy behind these two. Wants to get his way back up into a podium at the opening round of the GTE Championship for the SRT Trackmasters Academy. He dives to the inside. Jonah grabbing the 4th spot and moves George aside here. George joining in from RK6 in-house right now as there is a BM. Oh no! That's Julesy! What's Julesy done? He was facing the wrong way at turn 3, and that puts him well out of the order. So that will put Jonah into the 3rd spot and hunting down in 2nd. There's a Corvette of Ash Lachlan just in the way there. That's a lapped car of Lachlan. And he jumps out of the way nicely. But Jonah Sita here, he's on for a run to 2nd if he can find his way around Grant Johnson. No one at this stage is going to catch Clint Harvey. He's 8 seconds up the road and doing it in style right now. Probably the only car on track keeping his nose clean right now. Here is Clint just for a second. We'll go back to the battle for 2nd. Just wanted to tease you guys out of it for just a moment here as Grant Johnson hangs on to 2nd. Jonah Sita right behind in 3rd. George in the 4th spot right now from Julesy dropping down to P5. So Liz will be devastated watching at home here. And that's a heartbreaker as we continue on with this battle. Quick check to see if our main man, Mr. Clint Harvey, is in the session in our Discord chat. Looks like he isn't in the Discord, so it's unfortunate if he does pick up the checkered flag in 3 minutes and 40 seconds time. We won't get to chat to him as Jonah up the inside of Johnson down at turn 1. We'll hang it all the way out and we'll grab the 2nd place spot on the road here. We'll grab the lead behind Clint Harvey. 8.8 seconds he has to make up. There's almost zero chance of making that up on the man Clint as Jonah makes his way out of turn 4 on the run through this middle kidney bean here at Estoril. The 4.182 kilometre circuit of Estoril hosted a couple of Formula 1 Grand Prix from 1984 to 1996. The 45,000 seat crowd capacity at Estoril. What a great circuit to race on as well. 20 miles west of the capital city of Portugal, of Lisbon. It's great to have this circuit to be able to go racing in at this one. The main straight is a good kilometre long. It's such a long straight here as we see Jonah about to wrap his way around onto that very long main straight, using all of the rumble strip and getting that extra runoff as he makes his way onto that main straight with 2 minutes and 10 left to go. He's managed to bring the gap down to 7.5 seconds over Clint Harvey back there up there in the race lead. But I think Clint is well and truly on his way to a checkered flag here in this one. Jonah is throwing down those hot laps though. Look at that, at 130.6. He was putting away the hot laps in practice and qualifying as well, managing to throw down right at the end of the session. As we follow him along, he's now inside 7 seconds off the race lead. Geez, he only needs to go about another 2 seconds lap faster. He'll be able to close that down in the lap and a half that they have left in this one. 30 minutes of racing, but Jonah has done it to himself. He would have been able to pick up the win in this one if he hadn't have come unstuck twice. Not once, but twice in this race. The same can be said for this man, Anthony Julesy Jewel. Look at that BMW. That has seen better days. Has well and truly seen better days as the odd-sounding Corvette goes past there at the Parabolica Interior. Up the road is George in the 4th spot here. There was a bit of action going on just a second ago. That was Josh Cochran, I think. Grab Josh right there. Yes, it was. Just getting a bit out of shape, trying to stay with Julesy. Grant Johnson in the 3rd spot. He's kept his nose clean. You see how nicely kept that car is as he brings it around Parabolica Ayrton Centre and onto the main straightaway to start his final lap of the race. Just ahead of him you can see is Jonah, who's brought the gap down to 5.6 seconds. So Jonah, not through a lack of effort, absolutely romping his way around the circuit here at Estoril. But it may be too little too late as Clint has just settled into cruise control right now. He's lapping in the 132s and not really throwing down the heaters, but track position proving king for him. Jonah last time across putting in a 131.1 to bring the gap down to just above 5 seconds at the line. It's not going to be enough for Jonah tonight though, and that will leave Clint out front to bring this one around on the final lap of racing here as time is running down those final couple of seconds. And that'll be time expired for our 30-minute race here at round 1 of the GTE Championship for the SRT Trackmasters Academy here in Season 3 for 2021 at Racecraft Simulations. Clint Harvey, the gap coming down to less than 4 seconds now, so Jonah still on a mission. Trying to close that gap, don't worry. The car behind Clint is not Jonah. Jonah is still a little bit further back. He's coming through turn 8 at the moment as Clint makes his way around turn 11 and onto the main straightaway. Clint Harvey running it down to the line, puts together a beautifully clean race and will bring it on home with a weave to celebrate across the line. Clint Harvey will win round 1 of the GTE Championship for the SRT Trackmasters Academy here from Estoril in Portugal. Jonas Sita will come home in 2nd, just missing out by a couple of seconds towards the end here. Grant Johnson on the podium tonight in 3rd here from George in 4th and Julesy in P5. Joe Capone will run the Porsche down the line to come home in the 6th spot here, with Ray Mangano joining him to sandwich the 2 Porsches together, 6th and 7th on the road as Mangano brings it down the line.
Relatively good.
Brendan Ung brings it around the final couple of corners and down the line to pick up the 8th spot here from B-Race 2 in the 9th spot, and Cade Bell will bring it down the line to round out your top 10 here.
I went into a wall at full speed and like finished the race.
Hey, we're going to stop. Don't ram people at the finish line, please. Man, we've got powerful steering wheels. You'll rip someone's hand off.
How'd you go, Josie?
So we'll jump into the Discord chat real quickly. We'll see if we can grab a chat with Jonah Sita. Jonah, mate, you're there. What a comeback drive to be down and outside the top 10 to be coming home within a few seconds of the race win, mate.
Yeah, just kind of put your head down and stay focused. Bit easy with no force feedback.
What's going on with the no force feedback there, mate? Are you just struggling to get things set up properly to get a finish?
Yeah, I just didn't have time halfway through quality. I'm just like, just turn it off and go for it.
Well, it seems to be working out for you. Those couple of mistakes proved very costly, though. Are you reveling in what could have been for tonight?
Nah, it was my own fault. I got the position I got.
Oh, mate, congratulations. 2nd tonight, over just behind Clint Harvey, your race winner, and Grant Johnson taking home third here. That's the results on screen right now from round 1 of the GTE Championship here for the SRT Trackmasters Academy. From Estoril tonight at Racecraft Simulations. Hope you all enjoyed the show. If you want to get in touch and get involved with our league nights, just get on to our Racecraft Simulations Facebook page, get in touch with Johnny, and he'll hook you up to get on down. We are racing Daytona prototypes, the Cadillac branded version of the Dallara prototype P217 next week for the opening round of the DPI Championship, the SRT Trackmasters Academy. My name's Chris Mitchell. It's been my pleasure to have you tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for round 2 of the Aussie racing cars, ARC Camaros from Racecraft Simulations. Good night.